questions answered before we get out of here.
Early impression on your defense so far?
Well, you're right about the part that it's early. What we're trying to create right now in the third day, first day of pads, so the first real day of football, is to be a physical, dominating group that plays with relentless effort. And the thing that is the most encouraging at this point in the first 3 days is we've got a really, really good attitude. We have really tried to play with great effort on every play. We're trying to create a culture where the other players in the group affect the guy beside him. You got to affect the people that you play with. And a simple version of that is if you're a leader, you're an older guy, and you're out there, demand that the guys that you play with great effort. The technique stuff, this scheme stuff, that's a process that is going to take some time, and we got to go day by day with that and evaluate it and keep teaching. But the physical dominance of things, of being a physical player and playing with relentless effort, and I'm talking about, you watch them play, you say that they're playing with relentless effort every play. That is something we're pushing real hard.
When you came here and first watched Phil and Byron Cowher, and now what we've seen of him in the spring, any differences with him and him taking a step forward in the sophomore year?
Well, at this point in time, it's so early for a football coach, basically 30 minutes after walking off the field, the first day in pads, to evaluate someone. He is a physical talent with a great attitude. He's still young. And so those things I just talked about, of being a physical dominant, like being physical, playing with great effort. He's bought into that. And obviously, we're in college, we're not in the NFL, so the technique development of things is an ongoing process, and he is buying into that. But to assess where he's at, or to give a personal assessment to it in 1 day in pads would be unfair.
What does it mean to you to be considered a player's coach? What do you take that to mean? What do you take pride in that? What does that mean to you?
Well, I really don't know. You probably have to ask the players what that means. I assume you're saying somebody said that. I don't know that. I think the thing that we want to do is that we want to demand that they do things the right way. But in the process of doing that is to be a teacher first and foremost. And we all have styles in coaching. My style has evolved, changed back, evolved some more to get to where it is now. So it's been remade many times over to correct mistakes that I felt like I made based on my personality. And at this point in time, I've been doing it long enough now. I feel pretty comfortable with it.
Are there any mistakes from your past, whether it be with an individual or overall, that stand out to you? Ones that you look back on?
Yeah, when you're younger, sometimes you can coach guys so hard that you put them in a shell, and then it takes you a while to get them out of it. Now, you can still coach them hard. There's a difference in coaching them one description hard, another description hard. And I try to make sure that it's always about what's happening on the field, and not get so upset or so frustrated with something that it comes across personal.
Kevin, what are you saying the linebacker group so far in practice?
They're an eager group. There's actually more bodies there in terms of guys who have instincts and understand the game. They're good students of the game. They're just young and inexperienced. And so, we got to develop them fast. But that's not something that has not been done before. I've been coaching linebackers long enough. Of course, Travis is doing a great job with them. He's a good teacher. But it's not the first time you had to play inexperienced linebackers at all.
Is Trey Williams trying to step up and be a leader in that?
Trey is trying to be what I said about affecting the others around him. He's trying to be a good leader and affecting the personality, the demeanor, the way we go about things. He's working hard to do that.
Kevin, you see enough to know what you want to do with Jeffrey Collins yet, where you want to play him, how you want to use him?
Well, obviously we've got him at Buck right now. But open side end. Again, it's so early in the process. I knew him out of high school as a recruit, so there's some knowledge there, but as far as I'm concerned, they're all freshmen in terms of going about it, and just hadn't practiced enough to know. But I do know that he has the physical attributes to be a player.
What about with Paul James?
Well, that falls in a category to where Paul has had a medical deal, and so anytime it's a medical issue, then that's a head coach's question. But in terms of being in meetings and being attentive and understanding what schematically we're trying to get done, he's done that very well.
You referred to it as the buck. Last couple of days ago, I think some of the players called it the bandit. Will called it the buck. Is that basically all the same thing? How similar is it to what they did last year?
I don't know what they were called. It depends on who. I've never heard bandit here.
Okay.
Or in any system I've been in. I know it is in some systems, but the bandit is the guy that plays the star or the nickel, where the buck is the open side end.
Right.
And so, but it's the same here. It's the open side end.
Okay. Let's talk about, you've got a really new coaching staff, different parts. How are you guys starting to work together?
New together. We're old enough that we ain't new together. New. I don't think anybody that knows me would call me new. But we got a good group. Rodney has been in it a long time, coached in this league. I think he's the second longest tenured coach in this league. I think John Chavis at Texas A&M may have him by a couple of years, but he's seen a lot of football in this league. He realized what it takes to play. He's a good teacher. And then of course Wesley was a choice that we wanted to get. We were very fortunate to be able to get a guy out of the NFL that had a tremendous amount of experience in college coaching and recruiting, and wanted to be in college football. And then of course Travis has been a player. He's a young guy. That as a group, we get along. I mean, that's the first thing you got to do. You got to be on the same page. You got to be. You spend too much time in there. I mean, think about it. I spend way more time with Rodney, Wesley, and Travis than I do my wife. So you got to have a group of guys that are on the same page, get along, contribute with each other, take up slack for each other. It's just like a team. You got each other's back, and it's been fun with this group, and we're going to make sure that stays that way.
I understand, again, it's the first day of pads, but you were talking about some experienced guys needing to step up and take leadership. Anybody that you sort of noticed today, and then follow up, what about young guys that might have caught your eye today?
Well, I'm real hesitant, always have been. I'm not answering your question, but I'm real hesitant about, it's more about the group and who comes to the top of the group. Assessing after one day in pads is really a hard thing to do, but from the leadership standpoint, Montravius is stepped up. Carl is an energetic guy up there. Byron Coward is a young guy, really, but he's starting to assert himself. And of course, Trey in the linebacker room. The DBs, Carlton is a young guy, really, but he has. Ruffin has done. I've seen him out there. Steven Roberts, a young guy, but he's stepping up.
Josh Halsey's still come back from his second torn ACL. Do you know if you're going to want to put him at safety or corner, or especially coming off multiple knee injuries, if it's better on safety?
Well, it's kind of hard for me to assess that till I see him practice. If it helps you any, we're cross-training him more at safety in the meeting room mentally in terms of what he's focusing on and hearing with the corner part of it. But they're pretty tied in together. If you know what the safety does, you know what the corner does. Now sometimes that corner doesn't always know what that safety do. It should, but doesn't always. So he's focused a little bit more on that mentally. But in terms of assessing that, I get what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, and the history says that. But do we know yet? No, not really.
What's the process overall been for the defensive whole? Because you're third coordinator in 3 years. Just for the older players who've been through that, the juniors and seniors, what is the learning process in the meeting room's been like these first couple?
Well, I'm not so concerned with in terms of the past and what, you know, numbers and who and all that, as much as because every team, you hear coaches that, you know, when you go to the SEC meeting days, count how many times you see, you know, every team has a life of its own. This is a new team. This is not last year's team. We can't rest on what we did last year in some form. And that's as true a statement as you make. Every team that I've ever coached, whether it was a national championship team the year before or whether it was a team that struggled the year before, every team has different personality, different chemistry, different makeup. This has been a very eager group to learn. They've embraced what we're doing, but then we've tried to facilitate the learning curve a little bit by trying to, because there's some similarities in the two people that were, one that's here last and one that's here now, and myself. The dictionary is pretty similar, so we've tried to keep as much of it the same as possible, which makes it friendly for the players.
You mentioned the personality of each team. Have you ever had a team before where you always rely on upperclassmen, but there's only 5 returning seniors on defense, only one's a returning starter? Have you ever had a roster composed that way in your past?
Last year, you know, in that year we played, that was a young group, a very young group, and not very many returning starters. Wound up throughout the year actually starting 2 freshmen a lot and 3 freshmen some, with a bunch of sophomores. So yes, last year.
Where would the defensive line be with that if Montrevious Adams and Carl Austin decided to go to the NFL?
That's a pretty easy one there. Moore is better, and if Moore is like Carl and Montrevious, it's really better.
Coach, where are you playing Montavious Atkinson right now? How's he playing?
He's playing the money will spot. He's a very fast guy, very energetic guy. He's physical. It was only one practice, but I saw that real quick. He's really progressing nice in terms of just the understanding of what he's trying to get accomplished at the position in the 3 days that we've done it.
You said he plays money will?
He's playing money
I
will.
like that name. That's good. What is it?
Well, that's 2 different things now.
Oh, okay.
It's the money and nickel, it's the will and regular. So,
What have you seen early on out of Jamel being quarterback?
long, has physicality, understands the position.
Early impressions of Prince Tavian?
Fun to watch because he's an athletic guy. He can run real well. He's like a sponge. He hangs on every word you say. If he hears you talking to a linebacker, he's listening. And sometimes I think, is that going to clutter his thought process? But I think he wants to hear everything you have to say.
Any thought of moving him in, looking at him inside and out?
Not there yet. In the developmental process, cross-training a developmental player, and I'm not saying that he's total developmental, 1 year of high school, limited reps since he's been here, to cross-train somebody real early in the process can be detrimental.
What about
John
John
Tavius.
inside route?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
John Tavius Johnson, have you seen anything from him?
Pardon me?
John Tavius Johnson.
Yes. He's another guy that gives you a big body in there that has athleticism.
Was Rudy finally able to go today? Was Rudy finally able to practice today?
On who practices, who don't, if you don't mind, just because I've been doing this a long time, that's a question really, when you start talking about who's out there and who's doing what, that's more the head coach.
I was wondering about Marlon inside route.
Again, a young guy that is in the process of learning college football, and so I'm not saying that one day that could not happen.
Where's he starting? Is he working outside?
Right now, he's outside. He's
Okay.
in. Yes, sir.
All right, Coach.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.